Happy Monday to everybody out there. Justin Pooni, Steven Psihogios of NorthStar Bets. Stevie, interesting weekend in the NHL as normally it is. The Toronto Maple Leafs had a big home victory in Buffalo against the Buffalo Sabres 3-0. Auston Matthews scores goal number 60, the ninth player in NHL history to have multiple 60-goal seasons. Ilya Samsonov, 34 save performance. And also, the Leafs are in action tonight at home in Toronto this time, not their second home in Buffalo, against the team that knocked them out of last year's playoffs, the Florida Panthers. So we're going to get some bets for that. But let's rewind it back to Saturday. Auston Matthews, 60 goals this season, best goal scorer in hockey, best player in the Toronto Maple Leafs. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was about time because the game before he had taken 10 shots against the Washington Capitals and he couldn't bury one. So he finally gets on the board on Saturday. He figured it was coming. It was only a matter of time. And look, he is the premier goal scorer in the NHL. There's no two ways about it, right? So you just figured it was coming at some point. And honestly, a great effort by him on that goal. If he could push like that against tougher competition, especially in the playoffs, I think that's what Maple Leaf fans want to see. Like, that's a goal where he goes to the net. He fights on the forecheck behind the net to get the puck. I mean, if he's doing that just to score his 60th goal, you'd like to see that effort carry over for some team success in the playoffs, because that's something I think all Leaf fans and all hockey fans in general can admit has just been missing from his game. I think Matthews, he'll end up finishing with more than 60 goals. I think, more than 65 goals.
Okay.
Obviously, he'll most likely finish with more than 60 goals. But I think at the end of the season, he's going to sit somewhere around 67, 68 goals. And it was good. You know what? You can't fault those Buffalo fans too much for selling their season tickets or selling their tickets for that game. They make their money back for their season tickets because of it. So I can't fault them. And the team looks like they've given up on the season entirely.
Yeah, no, look, I think Buffalo's a lot of good pieces there. I think come next season, I would assume, hopefully, if you're a Sabres fan out there, that they do play meaningful hockey going into April. But back to Matthews, look, he's the best goal scorer in hockey. He's the guy who's proven this year that he can carry the Toronto Maple Leafs on his back. I mean, you look at all 60 goals, a lot of those goals were required for them to win hockey games, right? Because this team isn't as talented and isn't as deep as they have been in years past. They're gonna get 100 points again, but they're not the dominant regular season team in the Eastern Conference this year. We've talked about it. There's probably 4 or 5 teams better than them in the East right now. So Auston Matthews has proven that he can carry the load and be that driving force in the regular season for the Leafs. Of course, the $13.25 million question is, will he do it in the playoffs? So do you see that if Matthews has a big playoff performance in round one, but they don't get out of round one, like which we both expect, does that change the narrative around him, or is it still same old Auston Matthews doesn't show up in the playoffs?
Well, look, I think if Matthews has a big round one, they win. But if in this situation, let's say they don't, then I think you're going to have a lot of people calling for Brad Treliving, because assuming Matthews has a big first round performance and they lose, you have to figure they lost because of the ancillary help, all the players and pieces around him, which was Brad Treliving's job this past offseason. He brought in Tyler Bertuzzi. He brought in Max Domi. And if those guys don't step up, that's how they lose a first round series with Matthews running pure. So I think the pressure will then shift to Brad Treliving if the Leafs don't get it done in the first round and Matthews goes off, because then it becomes the question, okay, how can we build this roster around him to have success? Because he's finally brought that A game to the table in the postseason. What can we do to help him? So I think that is the guy who will bear most of the criticism is Treliving, because in past years, it has been those big four guys failing to step up in the postseason. That's been the reason why they failed to advance. So now, if they can't do it and Matthews does have a big series, the question becomes, okay, well, what are you doing to make sure this roster can? What are you doing to build the defense? And, overall, I think a lot of pressure would go on Treliving heading into this offseason.
Look, I think the pressure's on Brad Treliving regardless, because I do suspect Auston Matthews will have a good postseason. I just don't suspect the Toronto Maple Leafs will win a playoff round, because they're probably going to play either the Rangers Oh, sorry, they're gonna play
It
the
could be the
Bruins,
Rangers if they follow the
Panthers.
wild card, but yeah, Bruins
Yeah,
and Panthers are
Bruins and Panthers. I
looking at
think the
like
Rangers
two
right
more
now are
likely.
most likely gonna get the second wild card spot because I think they're gonna get the President's Trophy. That's just me hedging my bets right now. But a team like Boston or Florida, they're just deeper and more physical, right? Um, and this is just a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about. The Panthers and Bruins just have better goaltending, right? Now, with that being said, Ilya Samsonov had a 34 save shutout. Um, really kept the team in the game in the first period as they were getting their bearings. Buffalo was firing shots from everywhere, and Samsonov stood to the test and shut the door. The debate is over, right? There was the little debate there was that Joseph Walsh should be the game one starter. That's done, buried 6 feet under now, I would assume so, right, Stevie?
Yeah, I was on the wall starting game one camp because I thought he was going to be the guy, and I just hadn't
Mhm.
seen enough out of Samsonov. But this last little stretch, he was money in March, Samsonov. I think he finished the month with like a 926 save
Yeah.
percentage. He was really good. So I think he's taken control of that top spot. Mind you, the list of opponents he faced in the month of March, not necessarily a murderer's row.
No.
Buffalo, they got the Capitals. Like this was not the who's who of top offenses in the NHL. So he will
Yeah.
see a big step up in class tonight against the Florida team, which going into this game tonight, this is where I see the Leafs struggling. And we talk about
Mhm.
Toronto being this team that can't match up well with the Boston or Florida. Look at the numbers. Nine
Yeah.
straight games between Florida and Toronto have gone under a game total of 6.5 goals. Are the Maple Leafs a team built to win games that don't have a lot of goals? The answer is no. They're top five in goals per game, and they're giving up more than 3 goals per game this year.
Yeah.
They haven't been the picture of perfection on defense. They've struggled on
Mhm.
defense. They've struggled in net. I mean, the goalie that we're talking about being their game one starter was sent to the minors at one point this year. So this has
Yeah.
not been a clean slate between the pipes for the Leafs. So I honestly think they can't win that style of game that we'll see in the playoffs. Now tonight, I think it's a bit of a different story. But in
Right.
the playoffs, I don't like the Leafs' chances at all.
Well, this is the other thing too, right? You look at the situation that tonight brings is the physical Florida team is going to be coming in, and if I'm the Panthers, I'm going to try to do everything possible to get under the Leaf players' skin. Cousins, Bennett, Kachuk, whomever, get under their skin, ruffle their feathers a little bit because we see it's easy for the Leafs to get off their game. You see with the Boston Bruins all the time when they play each other. The Bruins know how to get under the Leafs' skin, and when that happens, they get off their game. And I suspect this is a game where the Panthers know that. They know how to play against the Leafs. They've had success in Toronto. And that they know that they're going to there's a high chance they're going to be playing the Leafs in round one. So why not, poke the bear a little bit push them around a little bit. Send them a
Plant the
message.
seeds.
Plant the
Yeah.
seeds, exactly. So I see that. I see this being a very physical game tonight. I see this being a low scoring game tonight, like you mentioned. And I see it as a game where Florida really just shows them. And like we saw against Vegas, Boston, with the Leafs struggle against those tough physical teams that have had playoff success, right? They don't know how to win those games. And I foresee that being the case again. But finally, let's get your best bets for this game.
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of this time kind of down talking the Leafs, but I will pick them to win tonight because
Oh,
the playoffs are a different animal, right? We
mhm.
can both agree that come
Yeah.
postseason time, everyone else is elevating their game, and it's the Maple Leafs that we've seen time and time again fail to just
Mm,
bring that temperature up to where it needs to be. This isn't the playoffs tonight. This is a regular season game. So I'm gonna pick Toronto to win at plus money at plus 110 at NorthStar Bets. I like getting them at plus money odds at
mm,
home against the Florida team that is struggling right now. They've lost 6 of their last 8 games. Bobrovsky has a sub 900 save percentage over his last 6 starts, only one win during that stretch as well. So they have struggled, Florida, coming into this game, and maybe it's a matter of focus. And
mhm.
they're a team that I'm not overly concerned about because we've seen them turn that switch on when they need to. So I'm not overly concerned about Florida, but I will say tonight I like Toronto at home. I think there's just a little bit more momentum and more positive energy with that Leafs team. But I will also back the under. Just we've seen
Okay.
a crazy run on unders between these two teams. The Leafs have struggled to score against Florida, and Florida really hasn't lit the lamp all that much against the Leafs. I think they've scored more than 3 goals in one of those 9 games. So it's not like they're out here piling on the goals against Toronto. So I'll take the Leafs to win and the under tonight.
I'm with you. I'm going to ride the under at 6.5, and I'm also going to take Sam Reinhart to find the back of the net. I think he's plus 120, I believe, at NorthStar Bets for anytime goal score. Look, the Panthers have a top 5 power play in the NHL, and their trigger man has been Sam Reinhart. He finds the back of the net. Um, we're not going to end off here, though, because I got to ask you one more time. Connor McDavid was actually the points leader for a couple hours on Saturday. Currently, our Art Ross race is MacKinnon 127, Kucherov 126, McDavid 125. Are you ready to join me on the Connor McDavid train to win the Art Ross, or are you going to stick with your guy down in Tampa Bay, Nikita Kucherov?
I'm sticking with my guy
Okay.
Kucherov. A big night upcoming too against the Detroit Red Wings. I like him to fill the stat sheet.
All right.
I'll bet him to score 2+ points. I do not like what's going on here though. It's getting a little too tight for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice gap about a week or two ago, and it's
10
really
points.
shrunk. And now, yeah, and now McKinnon has more points, so I'm a little worried. We could both lose. There's a world where we both
There's
lose
a
and
yeah,
McKinnon ends
exactly.
up winning, but but I still like Kucherov to finish with more than McDavid and also to lead the league. I think he will pass McKinnon when it's all said and done.
Well, we'll reconvene on Wednesday, and I'll try one more time to see if I can swing you over to the McDavid side. But Stevie, thanks a lot, my man. Appreciate it. Enjoy the busy slate we have on a Monday night in the NHL.
Yeah, really good slate. Good playoff
Mhm.
implications on the line in this slate tonight. So I hope everyone's able to enjoy it. And I hope everyone had a nice weekend as well.